Hi, and welcome to another episode of Let's Make a Game. This is episode 18, and we are making Off and On Again, a simple light toggling puzzle game. This is the 18th out of 25 episodes, and each episode is 1 hour. The entire project is those 25 hours budgeted. So this includes the entire process of creating and publishing this game from start to scratch, or start to end from scratch. So in the last episode, we worked on level creation, and we're going to continue to do that today because we want to get that done and out of the way and move forward with some other polish and have some time to rework those levels if we find ways to improve them or reorder the difficulties. And we also want to leave some time for working on some other things. So I'm going to jump straight into level creation. We've got levels 1 through 20 added right now, and we want to get at least 25. And if some time is left in the next few hours, we'd like to maybe add another page of levels, but that might take some thinking about how to better organize them. So for now, we're going to work on these new levels, 21 through 25. So the level editor that we have is built into the game when running in debug mode in the Unity editor. This is something that was built in from the start of building our prototype. For a recap, the gameplay allows for holding down number pad buttons 1 and 2 while editing to change a single light or to change the tile type. And this is how we do level editing in the same scene and same behavior as the actual gameplay. And when running in debug mode, the gameplay has a little level editor dialog hovering over the normal game board, and that allows us to load or save current level data on, or to load a specific level that we could then edit. And so we're going to see that right now. For example, the last level that we created was level 20, and that's this one right here. And now we're going to move on to 21. And the main way that we create these levels is to kind of play them backwards. Okay, so one here is now. See how well this plays. Good one. I think I'm going to add a quick note there. Don't want to replay the splash screen unless it's the first time opening. Just add a note that we can accomplish that either later in this session if we have time, or pull that into a future session. So this is a 7. So a little bugginess with when exactly Unity will pick up the saved levels. I think there's probably a way we could make that work better, and maybe once we get these levels out of the way, we can work on improving that, just for a sort of completeness. It's not something that affects gameplay, so I'm not worried too much about it, but it is something that we want to consider. So let's see if we can solve this one. Try that again. Okay. And on to 23. I think that forcing a refresh here will fix that issue, so maybe we can find a way to force the refresh during the editing. That would be a way to fix that bug if we have time for it. This is another one where I want to try to use some of these special types to sort of be a decoy. Actually simpler than it should look. This last one, we want to make something special about this challenge. Really liking any direction this is going, so still trying to think about where it should head. Really feel like this 25th level should definitely use some of these symbols, but I don't really. Still haven't really been able to use the block symbol very much either, and really would have liked to do that. So liking more asymmetrical puzzles, so trying to explore those options a little better. So we selected a level 24, so clear this and one. Okay, so we're gonna save these new levels. And we're gonna move a few tasks in because schedule is pretty open for doing more things. So we're going to run a few improvements here. First thing we're going to do is make that countdown input read only when we're not in debug mode. Don't want the player to be able to adjust that themselves. Right now it's something editable for the purposes of editing the levels. We use the same input because I like the look of it for the actual gameplay too, but we don't want them to be able to do anything with it. So we still have a scene named prototype, which was from the original prototype that we built. Good to rename that, but it's not really a requirement either, so I'm just gonna add that to the bottom of our list. So the input field does have a read-only checkbox, and we already have a reference to that. If we look at, see where that is. One of these components does have a reference to that input, so we can find that. We'll have a place that we can already connect in just to disable it at the right time. We'll use this same kind of check right here when we do find it. It's right here. What we're going to do is just when the grid starts, if we're not in the editor, we're going to set the input to read only. I'm going to go ahead and test these things just to invert the condition. Try it out once like that. That is exactly what we'll do. This should be a task that we'll make quick work of, and I think that this is going to be a session that will include a lot of cherry picking of whatever low-hanging fruit we can find, because we're going to have we have a lot more time left that was not scheduled. Kind of wanted some extra time to just sort of grab whatever tasks looked good, because sometimes you need to buckle down and focus on things that have to get done, and sometimes you need to sort of refresh yourself by grabbing the things that you enjoy, the things that look easy, and just kind of recharge with those. So it looks like we can still actually select it, which is not really what I was hoping for. I think if we set this carrot color to white, and if we set a custom carrot color also to white, now it looks completely uninteractable, and I think that's exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is make this custom, and when we make it read-only, we'll also change both of these to essentially to just be full alpha. We're going to make that minor change now. change both the caret and the selection colors to white so they just appear as if they're not there at all and just blend it in with the rest of the input. This will make the read-only input completely uninteractable, at least as far as a user can see. We're also going to check out this hide mobile input. I think that might also help us. I think that's only applicable when it's actually interactable, when we actually have a keyboard. So okay. We do want to back to this condition after we've done our testing. Commit our changes. And now we're going to fix this splash screen, and we're going to fix this splash screen to only show up the first time the title screen is loaded. And in order to do that, we're going to want to remember that. So our game manager component, if we remember, carries over from one scene to the next. So it would be a good place for the title to stash a little bit of information about that. Okay, so we're going to test this out, and the way to test that is going to be if we start the game out on the title screen, we should see that splash. If we go to any other scene and then return back, for example, by quitting the game, we should just return to the plain title screen. It should not re-render that splash screen. Of course, we also don't want the splash screen to show, so if it should either fade it or just immediately close it, and that's what we're going to look at right now. We'll do that with the same utility that we used to do the initial fade. We just pass it an instant time. So here we'll test that. Okay. Little interruption there. Try that again. Make sure that we're showing consistently at the beginning. Okay, so now if we go anywhere else, back, just fine. Commit that. Alright, let's take a look at our notes and check off what we've accomplished here. Just going to keep pulling in items until we run out of time. This kind of goes along, I think these two go together. Now we have a quit button on the gameplay that goes to the credit screen, which I don't think is right. I think instead what we really want is for this to just go to the back to the level select, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to hook that up. Figure out what is the, need to remind ourselves what the index number is for the scene select. That's scene 3. So this button now goes back to level select, and copy that to reuse some of it in another scene. We're going to go back to that title screen, and along with the play, add something else. Turn this off just while we're working. We just this one actually. So I'm just going to reposition these for their new purposes. We're going to make this one look just a little smaller because main call to action, definitely that play button. Also allow this text to be bigger. We will just slightly fade that color. There we go. That looks good. Let's save this, test these buttons both out. Okay, so this should go to the level select. Let's go back to title. This should go to credits. And while we're here, then also make sure we re-enable that splash screen. And just kind of along with this, I want to try to fix something that we see right here. A little smaller than it should be. Hmm. Trying to figure out why this padding seems a bit off, but I'm having a little bit of trouble identifying exactly what's going on, and the situations where rather than spend too much time trying to sort it out, I would rather find some way around the problem entirely. Gonna put a large panel behind all this, take care of it just fine. Okay, so the main thing we were actually solving here was added a credit button to the title screen and change the gameplay quit button to a back button to the level select. I think this we already have done. Oh, yes, we did. Actually, we had a duplicate here, so we actually now have all of our should tickets accomplished, which is wonderful. That means we can move on, or all of our must tickets. Going to reorder a few things now, just kind of reprioritizing so that we know we're doing things that we really want to get done. And move. We have about 20 minutes left, and the spirit of making this a grab things that look interesting and get them done session. I'm going to grab two that I've been looking forward to, adding a little bit of effect when the level is loaded and when the level is completed, just to kind of make it a little more interesting, a little more fun. Make sure we have everything committed first. Starting from a clean slate, and we're going to try to add kind of a whitewash effect when the level is loaded, rather than just showing it immediately. I think that will that'll look pretty good, and I think it'll be a better way to do what we're doing. So the two things that we're looking at the most are the load level data, and then on each individual grid cell, the set method, which performs its task. I'm going to look at both of those right now. So right now, when we load levels, we just set them all immediately, and I think instead what we want to do is first set all of them off, and then kind of animate them all, washing. We're gonna see if we can figure some way to make this look sort of elegant. And I think to do this right, this is going to need to be a coroutine because we need pauses in between to this kind of animation. So we're going to look at where the load level data is called from, and see if we can track down how many places it's used and how difficult it might be to change into a coroutine. It's used by a few more places than I anticipated, but I don't think that will be a problem. I think rather than change how it's called, I will put the actual, basically separate out the loading of the level data and then updating the game board to match that. The part that updates the game board to match the load data, that will be the coroutine that will only be used internally by the load level data helper. It separates the concerns of the two. Also, I think just ends up being a bit more of a clean way to organize these different aspects of the behavior. So what we're going to do is, in 3 separate washes, I think turn everything on and then everything. We'll see. We'll see how this works. So we're going to see how this works, and hopefully it'll go smooth. We might want to adjust some of the timings a little bit, maybe adjust the padding in between the fades or the wipes. And then if this works right, I want to, as the last thing, do a similar kind of effect for the completion of a level. So some kind of little congratulatory animation that'll happen after completing a puzzle. And that'll work in a pretty similar way, but it should have a distinct transition that's something different than the level loading, maybe some sort of a starburst, either outward or inward. Alright, I think that looked pretty good. Actually do think that one difference want is add make the individual row transitions a little quicker, but add a little pause in between. And see how that looks. And if that works, we'll try to use similar timing maybe on the completion transition. So they have similar feels as far as the speed, but for the most part, focus on one at a time. We'll try this now. Should make each one a little quicker, but make them a bit more distinct or individual. And I think that that balance will a little bit better. So one other thing we want to do different is to start off with the screen off. It's like when they initialize, their initial state is to be on. So if we begin the animation by transitioning them all on, we're kind of missing out. We're basically just doing that a little bit redundantly. So we're going to start off with a off state, do the on wipe, the off wipe, and then a wipe turning them all on to the actual puzzle state. And here we should see that now. That was quite right either. In fact, it looked better without it, so we're going to leave it. Cool. Animation. Alright. update our notes now. Okay, and on to our last task for today, I think, is a similar effect that we're going to add for the level complete. So first we want to see what happens when level complete and figure out where the right place to trigger this is. And that would be about here. we're going to look at how this is triggered. Not finding any places that are actually calling this, which probably means that we're calling it with the invoke method, basically calling it by name. Unfortunately means that the type inspection that Studio can do won't be able to find it, so we'll look for that. And that's exactly what we find right here, where an individual grid cell, every time it is interacted with, after it does its shape transition, will decrement the number of moves used on the grid, and then with a very small delay, call the invoke. So what we're going to do is make this invoke, which we already see we're not using the Boolean it returns. So instead, we're going to do something else with it. I want this to have a very small delay first, so we're going to put that in. That's just to make sure that the update of the last interaction done is finished. I'm not sure how to return early out of one of these coroutines, so we're going to look that up quick. Right. Just okay. Here we have the same logic that we did before for checking it, but the difference is that before we call this current level complete callback that the game manager has, which will move us back to the level select and mark that level as complete, before we do that, we want to do a little animation on the screen. Gonna add a helper into this. This is going to handle our starburst effect as we build it out. Okay, so this is from the center and it's adjacent. Just keep walking that. Goes from here to here, and now we'll do these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This isn't complete yet, but just to make sure we're on the right track, I'm going to be trying this out. So as long as this looks like it's on the right track, I think we can flesh out the rest of it, and then we'll call it twice. First a dark starburst, then a light starburst, and then we'll go back to level select. Maybe we'll do it a few times. We'll see how it looks. And there might be some algorithmic way that we could calculate this starburst, but for a simple 5x5 grid where the starburst is always going to be in exactly the same place with exactly the same offset, I don't think it was necessary, and I think this just makes it a little easier. This should load level 1, which we can complete with a single move, and then we'll see the current state of the completion effect. And what we see is that it never seems to happen. think we need to just wait just a little bit. So let's try that. Looks like it was running before the puzzle was actually complete. That's why we had that little delay in the original way we invocated it, and we just need to restore that delay or adjust it for the new way. That shouldn't be a difficult problem. Of course, a more robust way would be some sort of event system that would trigger only when the positions are all done. What we've got. All right, so that wasn't correct, but it was getting there. Try that again. As long as we have those first couple frames right, I think adding the last few will be much more straightforward. Good. Each one of these blocks here is essentially another frame. Next one is B, so if this is 0, then we're at 1, 2, 2 by 1. And then finally, those little corners. So we're going to try that out. I think we're missing a couple for the second to last frame, and I'll see what seems to be missing and add those in. Just about at time here, but I'm going to wrap up this one bit because we're close enough that it won't make much of a difference. Try that again and pause it just so we can see what those are. Okay, so here's the ones that are not working. Just try to work a little bit faster. And as long as this is close enough to what we want, since we're just kind of winging this anyway, we're going to wrap up this session as soon as it doesn't look in some obvious way incorrect. It's time to draw this to a close and update our task list and move on to the next episode soon. So at this point, if it doesn't look right, we're going to keep it as is and move on and just add another task to the next session to refine it if need be. That certainly was close. We're still missing just one, it looks like. Two, 5. Commit even the partial implementation because it doesn't break anything currently. But we are going to this task along just as a note to finish it. So that's it for episode 18. We'll see you next time for episode 19. We only have 6 episodes left to complete this game, and that will include publication on at least Google Play Store, possibly itch.io as well, and also a little bit of work in setting up launch announcements and the minor promotion that I'll do for this. So some of the last sessions will be less code and more what steps will be taken to actually launch a small game. So stay tuned.